The shoulder office.
Is that because you couldn't see them?
Come on, right.
I know my name.
So you said.
Forget about that.
Yes. There it is, Holland Hills.
And you all are ready on the recording end?
We're recording.
Oh, you're already recording.
Last 30 seconds when you start,
Okay, gotcha. Okay. I was like, how long have you been recording?
starting at 5:30.
Okay. All right, let's call to order this meeting of the November 14th, 2024 meeting of the Fairfax County Architectural Review Board. To kick off this meeting, we have several administrative items we have to go through. We don't have any remote participation, so we don't need to take an action on that. However, we do need to take an action on public comment time limitations. The ARB needs to determine how long each member of the public will be able to speak during public comment periods. The public is allowed to comment after consent agenda items and after each action items, as is ARB standard practice. I'd look for a motion to set that time. Mr. Zone,
Move that each member of the public have 3 minutes to speak.
do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Plumpy. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition, abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries. Right? That's out of the way. Another notification for everyone here participating. The meeting is being recorded. The recording will be posted online within 10 days. And last but not least, we can start our meeting with the reading of statement of purpose and intent of historic overlay districts, and Mr. Plumpy has offered to do so.
Thank you so much, Chair. Historic overlay districts are created for the purpose of promoting the general welfare, education, and economic prosperity and recreational pleasure of the public through the perpetuation of the general areas of individual structures and premises that have been officially designated by the Board of Supervisors as having historical, cultural, architectural, or archaeological significance. Regulations within such districts are intended to protect against destruction or destruction of or encroachment upon such areas, structures, and premises to encourage uses which will lead to their continuance, conservation, and improvement in a manner appropriate to the preservation of the culture, social, economic, political, and architectural or archaeological heritage and ecology. To prevent creation of environmental influences as adverse to such purposes and to assure that new structures and uses within such districts will be in keeping with the character to be preserved and enhanced.
Thank you very much, sir. All right, just for a reminder for those who are on the agenda, the order for which items will be heard is set during the meeting when we approve the agenda. Additional items may be added at the discretion of the chair. Applicants for initial or follow-up presentations have to submit drawings and other documentation for the area prior to the meeting for them to be reviewed. When we have presentations for projects for action, I would ask that the presenters limit their presentations to 8 minutes for first-time submissions. If you are here for a resubmission or following a workshop, I would ask that you keep your presentation roughly to 3 minutes, focusing on any changes that have happened since the last time you've been here at the ARB. With that, I would look to see if there is a motion to approve our agenda as submitted, or if any revisions.
To make a motion.
Mr. Kalinsky.
The agenda as submitted.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second? Second was by Ms. Mangum. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposition? Any abstentions? Seeing none, the motion carries. We have an agenda. All right, takes us on to our first item, introduction and recognitions of guests. Daniel, is there anyone here we need to recognize or guests? Everyone's here for an application or a workshop. Wonderful. All right. It takes us on to our consent calendar action items. The first one is ARB 24 LOR 12. 8382 Sallyport Street Solar. This is located in 8382 Sallyport in Lorton, in the Lorton Laurel Hill MOA eligible district. The applicant is proposing the installation of 16 roof-mounted solar panels. This item is a consent action item, so there isn't a presentation for it. So before we go take any action, I would ask if there any member of the public that wishes to comment on this item. Hearing none, there's no public comment. Need to look if there's ARB discussion or a motion. All right. Ms. Murray.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 24 LOR-12 located 8382 Sallyport Street, Lorton, tax map number 107110J0013 in the Lorton/Laurel Hill MOA eligible district for the proposed installation of roof-mounted solar panels as submitted and presented at the November 14th, 2024 ARB meeting. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of the memorandum of agreement of the Lorton Laurel Hill eligible district and zoning and ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Zellman. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion carries. All right, that item is passed. If you were represented for that item, just a reminder to all applicants, you can get with Daniel following the meeting, not tonight, and he will talk to you about when those approvals are provided. All right, that takes us out of consent item and straight into items for action. We are on to ARB, and Mr. Burns is not here, so no statement. Conflict of interest have been read. All right, so ARB 24 HOL 26 2208 Marfos Road addition. This is located in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District. The applicant is proposing two additions, the relocation of a front entry door and installation of a new privacy fence. Ms. Lerner represents the application.
Hi, everyone. My name is Deborah. I'm the owner representative for this project. However, the owner, Sabrina Corral, is here as well. So if you have any additional questions, she's at your disposal. I think at this point, all of you probably have seen this project already. If not all of you, then most of you, because we've been here for workshop before. So I think I can be fairly brief in describing this. There are some, because we're here for action items, there are some additions to the presentation and just one or two tweaks based upon the last workshop we were here for. So I think it can be pretty quick. In fact, I think maybe we can just move to the next. Thanks. So this is just really quickly, as was mentioned before, the project consists of a few different components. The first is the addition of the original privacy fence, which you can see in the original picture on the upper left-hand corner. We can move forward. The second is the relocation of the entry door. One of the things that I just want to point out, which you'll see going forward, a change to the presentation, which I just want to point out, is that previously all the images that we presented were really just sort of representational 3D, and they didn't show any vegetation. They were really spare. And so one of the things that we did, just to give you a little bit more of an accurate picture of what was happening here, because of some of the comments that we received during the workshop, was we did a survey of the vegetation on the site. I cannot promise you that species are accurate whatsoever. It's sort of a blind spot for me. Don't ask me what any species of plants are, just to be fair. But sizes, dimensions, heights, widths, those are accurate, what you're seeing. And so I just think it sort of helps to give some context to what you're seeing in terms of the addition and what's sort of visible in the views. Okay, so you'll see that going forward in the images. What you see in this image is that existing is down below. The entry door is currently located on the side of the stoop, and we're proposing to relocate it to the perpendicular wall of the stoop. If you can move forward one, that would be great. Thank you. And then the additions we're proposing are two separate additions. One is on the rear of the house, and that's for the primary bedroom suite, which you see on the right of the upper photo. Thank you. And the other one is on the sort of front of the house. I say sort of only because it's sort of angled to the street. And you'll note, just a reminder from our last workshop presentation, that one of the changes we made was to not mess at all with the existing living room glass wall. So we sort of modified our addition to only occur where there's an existing brick wall at the rear of the house. And I think one of the things that's important about this view is you can really see how this is all existing vegetation that we don't have to touch. We don't have to knock down any trees or anything like that. but this is just the existing shrubs and existing trees really sort of masks from almost any angle, the addition that we're creating. Thank you. And just to sort of, you'll see later in the presentation, maybe some of you have already gone through it, the construction documents are in there, but just to give a little personality and sort of give you a perspective of what we're talking about here, one of the things we talked about in the last workshop to help you understand was the materials and what's actually happening on the front facade of the building. So there is a sconce planned to go next to that front entry door that we're relocating. And that's the image that you're seeing on the upper left. It's a combination of two images because we're planning on ordering that bow tie sconce in white, but with the pinholes. Couldn't get the exact picture of both of them combined, so use your imagination combining them, right? A mailbox as well, the color of the front door, and then obviously a material sample of the T111. You're familiar with that. You've seen it a million times. And just to sort of reiterate what I mentioned before, this is a schematic plan of all the existing vegetation. The only thing that you're seeing, the two notes of future, this is sort of just where the additions are planned at the front of the house and the rear of the house. The owner is planning on just adding some decorative shrubs in the front and the back of those additions as well at some point in the future. And then beyond this page, you really sort of get into the construction documents. I don't know how much you really, how important it is to go through that. I don't know to what extent you guys have really been through those details, but I think maybe at this point we've looked at the drawings a number of times. I think maybe if you have any questions.
I was gonna say, I think if
Be-
you've covered the changes you've made since the
Yeah.
workshop you were here.
I guess I should bring up one more thing just real quickly. There was some discussion about adding some windows to sort of break up the walls of the additions. And we took that to heart. We added some sort of more clerestory windows on the primary bedroom addition on the rear of the house. And you can see that in the exterior elevations. If we want to move forward just a few pages, I'll just go ahead and point that out. I'll tell you when to stop. We'll just keep going forward. One more. Okay, right there. You can see them there on the bottom. I remember John Burns was talking about that in particular. He had a little, and this is one of those things where you see it in the construction documents and it's sort of a 2D line drawing. But if you sort of think about this in combination with that landscape schematic that I had, try to imagine all those trees around and then shrubs as well on that wall. It doesn't end up being even that much wall that's with those windows. There's sort of even more going on there. Yeah. And that's the extent of the changes. I guess I can just
Okay.
open it up to questions now.
All right, first, is there any member of the public that wishes to comment on this item up for action? I'm not seeing any, so then I would turn to the members of the ARB for comments, questions they might have. Mr. Kalinsky?
So, and if you don't mind, I recall this probably, it may have been the first time you brought it in. You've been back a second time. I did miss.
Yes.
Didn't miss a time. Okay, I was gonna say, because the progression here is fantastic from what I first saw. And I really appreciate it. Just all the things that the first go around that caused me pause, all been evaporated. It's good. I think very well done. Appreciate that you've got the eave detailing down, detailed nicely.
Right.
That's a fact that it's all, the addition is no longer trying to push away the main bank of windows in the living room. Little hesitant because of the kind of defining characteristic of the hidden door in all the Goodman houses. A little hesitant to see that you're changing that position. Understand why, and the fact that we're not sacrificing that wall of windows, then kind of pushes that living space back up in there. And I think that's a fair trade-off under the circumstances. So just, I'm very pleased with the progression. I think I'll skip more meetings. Oh,
Any other comments from members?
Actually,
yes.
yeah, I was gonna say it's a great presentation. I applaud the detail with the landscape architect. The plants are plants, don't worry about that. But I think I'm also a detail person. I think getting to the minutia of the light fixture mailboxes, the door color, I think it's look fantastic. I think it looks like it's back in the 1950s, 60s when it was built. So thank you so much.
There are no other comments. I would entertain a motion. Ms. Mangum.
Okay,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 24 XOL 26 located at 2208 Martha's Road, Alexandria, tax map 0933 040100 in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District for the proposed additions and alterations as submitted and presented at the November 14th, 2024 ARB meeting. On review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
All right, do we have a second?
Second, this.
Second by Mr. Kalinsky. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstention? All right, the motion carries. Thank you so much. And I agree, Mr. Kalinsky. Thank you for your efforts with the workshops.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us on to our next item, ARB 24 HOL 25 2405 Namath Court Edition. This is also located in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District. Applicant is proposing a one-story addition. Mr. Scott Searle represents the application.
Don't think
Yes.
we have a representative.
He is not here. All right. You need us to take a motion on it?
Defer, yes. And I will quickly point out, there's a typo, the address, it's 2045 and the motion text says 2405.
2045. Okay. Okay. Mr. Zellman, you have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB defer action item ARB 24-HOL-25 located at 2045 Nemeth Court, Alexandria, tax map 0933-120011 in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District is submitted and presented at the November 24 ARB meeting. The motion to defer is due to a lack of representative for the application.
All right, do we have a second? Seconded by Ms. Orr. All those in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Denials? All right, motion carries. We'll defer that item. Now we take ourselves to item number 3 on our agenda. And I'll just clarify to the ARB, these are two items that are tied together, this one, the special permit, as well as the item number 4. So the applicant will present and then we'll have to take a vote on both the items separately. This is ARB 24 HOL 27, as well as 28. This is the Glasgow Road 2208 special permit for the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District. The applicant is requesting a recommendation for the approval of a special permit for proposed reductions in the rear and front setbacks. For item 4 of this action, it relates to the proposed construction of a front and rear additions at that same residence. Ms. Christine Kelly represents the application. Ms. Kelly, good to see you.
Hi, everyone. This project has been through 2 workshops, and the first one, we all agreed that it was a difficult house to add on to. We came back for the second workshop and had reduced the scope of the project and are now down to a front addition and rear addition. I'll go through the special permit. We are asking for a rear yard reduction of 12.5 feet, which is 50% at this corner for the construction of 2 bedrooms at the back of the house. And we're also asking for a reduction for the deck, which is shown at the top of the screen. And the addition, the front addition does meet the allowable setback. However, I do have a little overhang that is 9.9 feet from grade, and overhangs have to be 10 feet from grade. So I had to add the overhang of the front addition into the request. So those are the 3 dimensions that we're asking for the special permit. Slide, please. These are just to recap the existing house. It has several additions on it. The carport, this addition, and next slide, please. One. And this, the brick was also part of an addition that was done in the past. And I'll just take you around the side of the house in the back. Next slide, please. This is where we're adding on the sunroom right here. And next slide, please. And on the left of the house is where the new bedroom additions will go. Next slide. This is just showing you more pictures of the back of the existing house where the bedroom additions will go. And this is the existing window wall that will remain untouched. Next slide. And just taking you around the carport to show you some other photos of the project. This is the existing floor plan, carport, new house, the existing front addition. Next slide. And then this is the new plan where we're adding the new sunroom, the deck, and the new bedroom addition. And one of the last previous workshop was asked to offset the rear addition, so we pulled it in 2 feet from the back wall of the house to differentiate the planes of the architecture. The next slide. There is the way that the grade falls on the lot, there is space for a basement. So there is a basement under the front addition, and this addition will be just a crawl space. Front elevation, show you the existing house, and then there's a butterfly roof for the new addition. I reworked some of the windows on the front elevation based on the comments received from the last workshop. And then you can also see the deck off the side. Yes, right there. And then the next slide, please. This is the rear elevation showing the butterfly roof of the bedroom wing, and on the side elevation, the butterfly roof of the sunroom with the storage basement below. The existing house is, yes, just these will help show you the 3D elements. The existing addition and the new addition, and then the bedroom addition off the back. And then I do have the construction documents where we're matching the materials at T111. And, keep going, sorry, lost my train of thought. Some interior elevations. The interior lighting, structural. And I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have.
So first I'll ask if there's any member of the public that has a comment on either the special permit or the proposed addition application. Seeing any, unless you all had a comment on it, on the special one that's being presented. Okay. All right, seeing as there are none, I would look to the members of the ARB. I would, we're going to have to vote on both independently, but obviously, manage your questions how you see fit. Mr. Plumpy.
Sure. I had the pleasure of looking at the presentation on my iPad, and if you go back to the aerial photograph, please. I think it's your 4th slide or something like that.
I don't know that I have I have the plat.
No, you have the Google map.
Okay.
At least, I guess you don't.
Oh,
Okay.
that's the application that we.
Oh, I mean, gosh darn. Okay. Then go to your plat, please. I apologize.
Okay.
I guess it'd be interesting if you could show the neighboring house, how close it is or how far away it is from your property line. I'm looking at
The one back here.
no, the one where the addition is popping up on the side of the house. They're planted.
Oh, okay.
And essentially, there's no vegetation on your property until the very property line.
Right.
There's a decently, deciduously wooded yard that is your neighbor's, which right now your deck is gonna, be quite a bit higher than what it is today,
Mhm.
right? So off the 2nd story, and have you discussed your addition with your neighbor? I know.
Yes.
They okay with it?
They are, yes.
Ron? I would like to recommend, though, I know you're going for a special permit, but as the landscape architect, I think it'd be great if you did some kind of evergreen screening, if possible, vertical plants. Your favorite one is Green Giant Arborvitae is not my favorite. That seems everybody does it. It goes fast. I think it could give you some privacy for yourself as well as your neighbor, because it'll be quite a bit of change. As a side note, did you speak to a neighbor and actually put a stake in the ground, how far the house would be and the deck would be, so they know exactly what's going to happen?
Okay,
I mean, have you done that?
we have not put a stake in the ground, but that's,
They can visualize it. I think that's the key thing, because let's be good neighbors to each other. And I think that's what I'm trying to say is I think, I mean, I have no problem with the additions personally, but I think for privacy's sake and down the road, I think it maybe help. There you go. Thank you so much. And if you blow up on their property, I think you can kind of see what I'm talking about. There, this is taking the wintertime, which is great. So you start to see it's all deciduous. So I'm assuming that there's probably just trunks there. You can see a direct view to the house, from your house to their house. So just, I would like to recommend maybe in the motion, I don't know which one that would be, is to provide evergreen screening on the property line if possible, if it's this one or the next one. So that's all. Thank you.
So I think, so we're gonna we would provide a recommendation for this one. So as part of a recommendation, we could suggest that screening be considered as part of that. And then for the application we're taking up, we could also add that as a recommendation too. We could do it for both motions, but it just needs to be clear that this first one is a recommendation when it comes to the variance that's gonna have to be granted. Any other members of the ARB with
comment? So 6 months ago, I met
Yes.
Christina at the site and met the owners, and we walked the house and looked at that. And it just, I bring this up because my impression at the time, granted, it was summertime.
Right.
I don't remember being particularly hot or anything, but the, I mean, the great thing about Holland Hills is the way they've cited the houses. Did not feel like any of the neighbors were really that close or
Okay.
approaching it. And there's a bit of a drop off. So when you're standing on that side yard, you just see this canopy of trees
Gotcha.
down below you. So I didn't get that impression. I wasn't looking into the neighbor stuff, and I looked for those things for the very reason that you spoke. So I wasn't, I wasn't concerned at the time. It wasn't jumping out at me. But granted, this deck will be a little bit higher than where I was standing, even though I didn't stand on the higher on the hill on the front,
Okay.
up by the front facade. So my
Maybe you're not as concerned as I am right now by just looking at the photograph.
only because I was there and experienced it.
Okay.
And I feel that it was.
I trust your judgment.
And that goes for like the additional at the back. Everything seemed to be lower and falling away from this house. So it doesn't seem like we're going to be invading privacy if this gets built. We're not going to be allowing something that's regrettable.
I'll say particularly focused on the setback. The board has always been reluctant with setbacks, particularly just as a general, they're there for a purpose, obviously. The challenge with Holland Hills, at least from as I've been seeing it as these come up, is the houses in Holland Hills were positioned in their lots in a way that is going to put them absolutely at odds with setbacks in many cases. If any type of addition or change or any type of growth to the house is envisioned, it's going to run into even the smallest one from an eave that you're running into on the front side. And so I think given the fact you've been here for 2 workshops, and I think I recall in particularly when I saw it in December, I just did not see necessarily how this was going to work. And I am, through the workshop process, I think I'm much more convinced that this is a workable design that reflects both the prior edition's history, but also doesn't overwhelm what remains of the actual original house. That was probably, I think my original concern was, well, what's there left to salvage here? What are we just building a bigger structure in a much more intimate neighborhood? And I think for this process that's been achieved from my perspective.
If I could.
Yes,
speak
Mr.
to the
Kalinsky.
architecture. I think even though the front addition is not an original, I like to reference the butterfly roof back to it by way you've shaped the roof form with the new addition coming off of that, as well as how you have the butterfly roof on the back addition also. The windows that are more aligned on the front old edition plus your new edition work out. I think the forms come together nicely, and though it's not a true Goodman handling of the design, there's nice references to it, and it distinguishes itself subtly enough that it's not overbearing at all. Well, and thank you for pulling that rear wall in 2 feet.
Good idea.
Differentiation of surfaces helps.
Mhm.
Help sell it as new versus old.
Any other observations from the members of the board? I'll just note, again, we have two motions we have to take up. The first one is recommending approval. I heard several discussions for potential modifications, one of which was exploring evergreen screening on the northern side addition. So that's something to think about for someone making a motion. Look for a motion from our members.
Sure. Okay.
Mr. Plumpy.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 24 HOL 28 located at 2208 Glass.
You want to do number 27?
Excuse me?
You want to HOL 27?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go on page, look for page 6.
Special permit.
I'm sorry, I was not all excited.
Okay, you're excited. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB recommend approval of action item ARB 24 HOL 27 located at 2208 Glasgow Road, Alexandria, tax map 0933040501 in the Holland Hills HOD for special permit for proposed reductions in the rear and front yard setbacks as submitted and presented at the November 14th, 2024 ARB meeting. I would, with the exception of a recommendation of having the ability to place evergreen screening on the north property line between neighbors. Upon review of the materials, the proposal was found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
All right, we have a motion. We have a second. Seconded by Ms. Mangum. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Any one abstention, one opposition, one abstention. Motion carries. And Daniel, Jonathan, you documented those two abstentions and I'll make sure. All right. That takes us on to our next item for consideration, which is the item for application for the same project. So I would look at, now you probably, I know, I'm sorry, Miss Kelly, I'm keep forcing you to stay up there. But, so I would look if there is a motion considering the application up for decision. Mr. Kalinsky.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the ARB approve action item ARB 24 HOL 28 located at 2208 Glasgow Road, Alexandria, tax map 0933040501, Holland Hills HOD for the proposed additions as submitted and presented at the November 14, 2024 ARB meeting. Upon review of the materials, the proposal is found to meet the requirements of zoning ordinance 3101 historic overlay districts.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Orr. All those in favor? Aye. Any abstentions? Any nays?
Abstention,
All right, Swan abstains. All right. Motion carries. All right, thank you, Ms. Kelly.
Very much.
Sorry. All right, that takes us out of our items for action and brings us into our workshop session. Just a reminder for folks here who are here for items for workshop session. Again, please try to keep your presentations to roughly 8 minutes, and then we will get into conversations about the presentations. All right, first item for workshop is ARB 24 HOL 30 WS 2404 Elba Creek deck is located again in the Holland Hills Historic Overlay District. The applicant is proposing construction of a deck. Kimberly Sanchez and Ms. Tasha Thompson represent the project. Welcome.
Hello. I apologize. I do not have a PowerPoint. We did this very last minute and
Okay.
I will have one for the next one.
Yeah, we have the sheets that you submitted, so we have
Okay.
visuals. Yep.
So the homeowners are proposing to build a new deck. There was one there previously. It's on the front of the home. The one previously fell down before we even came in to meet with them to build a new one. So that's the new deck with a set of, I believe it's 2 or 3 stairs on the right side of the house. Just replacing what was previously there. That's the layout of the deck. It's just a 14 by 14 with 3 stairs. Next. There we go. The railing that they're proposing is a Keeling Chesapeake rail in matte white. The rails will go horizontally instead of vertically. And then with the materials, all of the colors have been chosen to match what is existing on the house already. So they did propose another rail, but when they met with their individual HOA, they did ask them to revise the rail. And so then we went to the Keeling Chesapeake matte white, and their HOA did approve that design change. Next. That would be the decking, which is weathered oak. It's a composite decking. And then that is what the rail would look like. And then on top of it, it will, instead of this color, it'll have the weathered oak as well to match the deck. And those are just pictures of where the deck is going to be located at. And I think that's it. Yep.
Okay. Short and sweet. That's great.
Yes.
All right. So we don't ask for members of the public during workshops. So if there are any members of the ARB that have comments, questions, or suggestions on this item for workshop.
The deck.
Yes,
Can I phone a friend, Mr. Burns, up in Montreal? There's a, I'm sure he would have a comment. I don't have a real concern with it, but it is facing the front yard. Am I reading this correctly? Okay. So we want to make sure that it looks appropriate.
Yes.
You know, the backyard deck doesn't
Matters.
always look good in the front yard.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, but I mean, we like to think the backyard deck matters, but
Yes.
we like to think all sides of the architecture, including the roof, matters, but
The cable rail really makes it, so I mean, they opted not to do an all wood deck, and with the composite and the cable rail on top of it, it's gonna be a very nice looking deck. One of the nicer ones that we do install, as opposed to like a composite rail or anything like that, or a wood rail. The cable rail, you really won't even see the rails from the street, I would say, just because they're gonna blend in. And so really you're just gonna see the white and then the composite decking.
So I don't have them. I was hoping I had it downloaded on my tablet, but I don't. So obviously Holland Hills has one of the most recent sets of guidelines for an HOD, unlike our other HODs are still sitting in 1992. So they didn't get to enjoy the new Star Wars prequels at that point. But that being said, we have some guidance on decks and other additions and other types of things being done. One thing I would suggest when you do come back is to point out how the design comports with the guidelines. Obviously, I think already what you're proposing, if I recall correctly, with the guidelines works with what's being proposed in Holland Hills, particularly the style. I think the only other question I had was, so this is like replicating the exact footprint of the deck that collapsed. It's no bigger. or
I
smaller.
don't.
I think the homeowner told me it is.
Does the homeowner have a picture of the old deck?
Okay.
Okay.
But Holland
Maybe-
Hills has approved it.
Okay. Well, I mean, so to that, that's great for Holland Hills.
Right, you're saying along the guidelines, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm saying for the ARB's guidelines.
I got you.
Of Holland Hills, the HOA, wonderful folks, but these two boards have no intersection with
Okay.
each other.
Mhm.
So we may not always agree with one another.
Gotcha.
I think you're not in a situation where we're going to necessarily disagree with each other because we're talking about a deck here. But that kind of information would be helpful if they have a picture of the prior deck, just, that might be great to know what was there. If they don't, I just want to make sure I'm confirming we're just putting something back where something else was. Those were really the big concerns I have. I think as Ms. Murray said, it's a deck, so I'm
Right.
not too concerned about it. But I think that point by point with the ARB's guidelines, how it comports with those will really help your case when you come.
Okay.
Ms. Murray.
And I think it's consistent with other decks that were
Yes,
approved
and
in
that's-
on the front of houses, particularly with the railing.
That's my recollection too. I wanted to be able to, I thought I had them downloaded on my tablet, but I don't. I couldn't pull up the exact language at the
Okay.
moment. Mr. Plumpy.
Yes, I was looking at one of your construction drawings that shows the side elevation of it. So is front elevation.
Yes.
That side. So, okay, in the elevation, could you tell me that the support beam is that pushed back from the edge of the decks? Meaning the deck is cantilevered? That should be great because I think it's a pretty harsh view if you have this.
Can I,
You have a 2x10 on top of 2x12.
can I defer to our project manager?
Yes,
Yes.
so my name is Tom Sanchez. I'm the, one of the few.
Show off your sweatshirt.
Go back some.
So, my name is Tom Sanchez. I'm one of two production managers here at HD Exteriors, right? If you go back to, page, 3, I believe, right here, right? It is, you see there's the 6x6 posts with the drop beams. They are cantilever 2 feet back.
Great, thank you.
So it's not gonna be like a flush.
Yes, that's like a big mess, like the front elevation is deceiving on this, so that's in the shadow, so that'll be in the shadow, which is good.
Yeah.
That's to make sure. Any kind of special treatment you'll be doing underneath the deck, gravel?
Not
Soil?
our knowledge unless you recommend we do.
I think just something to prevent weeds and so forth, so maybe, I'll leave it to your discretion, you'll.
Yeah.
Something to look at.
Sure.
Mr. Zelman.
Yeah, so I have looked up the Holland Hills guidelines regarding decks, just so that you have that information now. What we say is that replacing porches or decks that cannot be repaired with new structures, they should match the general appearance of the original feature. In some cases, alternative materials such as composite wood may be acceptable. Incorporating new decks on secondary or less visible elevations. What's not recommended would be altering the size, proportion, materiality, or locations of doors, porches, or decks in a way that alters the modernist appearance of the house.
And that can be found online on the ARB
Yeah.
website, our guidelines, can be downloaded there. And I think that's where I was getting at, was that the original deck that gave way? And, how well are we replicating what we had there in the past? Again, as Ms. Murray pointed out, this is fairly consistent with what we've approved in the past. I just wanted to help you when you came back in, particularly because our one expert Holland Hills member in particular is not here today.
Oh.
I want you to be fully prepared to have those answers when he probably will ask them.
And I assure you, this deck is freestanding. It's probably not gonna go anywhere for a while.
Fair enough.
Mr. Clancy, you have one more?
That means we're gonna be stuck with whatever you do.
Right.
Looking at the design guidelines and references to the decks, what's recommended in here is very consistent with what you have, and you're not changing any doors or windows on the building itself.
No.
And that's another portion that is part of the guidelines. If you start changing the relationships, if you're relatively close to what was there and you could show us what was there, it should be pretty smooth sailing.
All right, unless there were any other comments or suggestions,
Are the slides fine, or would you prefer a PowerPoint next time?
I mean, that's up to your,
Okay.
some folks bring full presentations. Some folks present the materials they submit in plus.
Slides are fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Because I was gonna have to get my teenage daughter to make me.
I can see it in your eyes.
As long as we're able, so obviously you, full set of plans will have to be submitted through plus, so we have the actual construction
Yes.
materials for approval, but whatever best conveys the information to us at the meeting is great, but those materials will still come to us. We're looking at this, what you submitted into
Right.
Daniel in our system right now.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Plumpy.
Since the front of the deck you'll see the end grain of the boards, correct?
No, you will not.
Oh, are you?
It's gonna have, the weathered oak fascia.
Okay, so
covered.
we'll see the ends of the boards because on composite, when you cut it, it doesn't look like wood. It looks
Yeah,
like,
it'll be covered with,
well, let's see.
fascia. Yes.
It'll be fascia that matches the color of the decking and
Joe, I just want to make sure that we don't see the ends of the deck boards because that's, from the street view.
Oh, yeah.
It's unattractive. And so maybe when you come back, maybe next show that detail or,
Sure, we
Right.
can do that. Yep.
and could you bring a sample of the composite?
We sure can. We can bring a sample of the decking,
And
the cocktail cap and the fascia.
and how about the post of the deck?
I can bring a cut off of a 6x6. I sure can.
I thought it was metal because your drawing showed metal posts in your railing.
You're talking about the surface mount post. I can definitely bring you a sample of that.
Okay, good. Yeah,
You mean this?
bring it on.
The cable rail, you mean?
the cable rail in the office.
I don't, if you got it, bring it, but I'm curious to see, if you're going to use a white or black for the post. Are you using white or black?
White.
To match the house. Okay.
Yes.
So
Oh,
it's
just
gonna
bring
look
it, why
just
not?
like this.
Yes.
Be all white with just the cable and then the weathered oak instead of that color on top.
So the next time we come, we have a nice display,
That'd be cool.
And
Put a glass on the knee, on the lean.
And bring you cookies.
Okay. See, it is. All right. Samples we get, the more decks we build.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
perfect. We'll bring all that.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much. Hopefully we've given you enough to go away with that. I imagine we might see you back for application next time.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go
Oh.
Commander.
Boy. 1 hour.
All right.
Oh, no lines. That's my NFC team.
All right. Our next item for workshop, ARB 24 LKA 02WS 1625 Washington Plaza Mechanical. This is located in the Lake Ann Village Historic Overlay District. The applicant is proposing the installation of an air conditioning equipment on the roof. Vanessa Lazo represents the application. Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm the owner. Yeah.
I don't know.
Can you?
Sure.
We already submit, sorry, Vanessa, the project, no. The property manager, she's sick, so she's not gonna be here.
If you could just introduce yourself for the record.
My name is Kevin Lee. I'm the owner of 1625 Washington Plaza. And we would like to install the AC system since the relac things that fell through one time, but now it's coming back. But since we are commercial, so then we need to have an AC so we can run throughout the year. Instead of the relax system, they turn on May and shut off at October. So you know now that the weather, can get hotter in winter time. So you have, okay. Right there, 1625.
Where the circle is, right? Yeah, okay.
This is our patio. So these 3 units, that is above the roof of the residential, but we are below that. 1, 2, and 3.
That's what you have, 1, 2, and 3.
Right. That is the inside. Oh, no. Is that the inside, right?
Yeah, it was inside.
Yeah, okay.
Is the use residential? Or is it?
Above is the residential. All the
But yours is for commercial use.
commercial, all the first floor and the Washington Plaza are commercial.
The ground floor is commercial. It's 2-story townhomes above.
And is these air conditioners just for the ground floor?
I mean,
Are the air handler unit, are the condenser units just for the ground floor or for all floor?
no, on the roof have to be,
For your businesses or just for the commercial businesses?
it is.
Yes,
So ground floor.
yeah, it's just for the commercial business, yes.
So these are the parking lot, but actually this is one grade higher. You have to step down and go into the plaza. So these are the residential unit. So here we have a hood system. That is our hood system there. Have a next photo.
So I think so obviously we have another project that's been here in the past that's dealing with another.
Right, yeah,
No, you're not the same one.
right.
I think big concern and the information that, in looking at the package you put together, I don't think I have a good understanding of what is going to go on the roof and what it's going to look like. I think just personally for me, the interior work to get equipment in and to provide heating and cooling inside the commercial space, that's not really what the ARB is looking into. But one of the areas where we have a lot of concern, these Lake Ann properties, is things going on top of these buildings because there are a lot of sight lines to them. And that the prior project that still has not gone through our full process is proposing a large condensing unit on the roof of the building. And I think based on what I've seen here, I don't have an understanding of what you're going to put on, what it's going to look like. And I think that, at least for me,
Right.
that's probably my biggest concern because I know this area really well. I'm from Reston. When you're walking back and forth or heading down some of these pathways, I want to make sure that that's not going to be visually obtrusive to someone that's in Lake Ann or somebody that's enjoying the space, that's not what I'm seeing. That's not drawing my eye. That's, how is that? How big is it? How is it being screened? Things like that. That's kind of what and you may not have that answer. That's why you're at a workshop. So.
Got it. Ray, did you submit any design or drawing of the roof insulation?
It's right there.
Any other documentation submitted to you?
We only have equipment cut sheet. There is no drawing except the one that just show the seating. Although I do want to point out the work you proposed, it says 5-ton ductless VRV system.
Yeah.
So with that information, I was assuming it's no duct. But they will still have some piping system and how you route the piping from
Yes,
first floor.
that's
to
another
roof.
good point.
That was going to be.
Okay, I'm sorry that we did not submit that, so look like you don't have the right information.
Well, you're at a workshop, so there isn't.
Okay.
That's okay. Because
Okay.
we're not taking a vote on this, but this is what
Sure.
you do come, we'll want to know. And yes, that Samantha makes a good point that this is a ductless.
Got it.
So we're not talking about a duct running down the side of a building.
Right.
But all the lines, electrical, we would want to know how is it going through the interior? Or is it going along the sides, running down the gutters? That information is going to be critical.
Okay, so can I present
You
you,
want to come up there?
can I present you the picture of how those things?
My name is Ray Gofroni. I do the installation, we order the equipment. The equipment is already in the place. That picture shows there is 3 units sitting on the top of the roof. My unit is 53 high by 36 and 12-inch depth.
I'm sorry, how,
That's the 53 inches.
almost 5 feet.
So you say they're already there?
Or,
You're talking about the existing one.
yeah, no.
Oh,
The
The
new equipment.
new one.
So they're on the roof already.
They're already there.
All right, there we go.
Oh, we didn't install it. It's sitting inside the storage.
Oh,
So we're waiting for permit.
I see.
It's in the.
This is the 3 my unit sitting on the roof and it's going to be exposed. Everyone can see it.
So could you come back with a plan that shows where they are located on the roof and the distance from the edge? And my other concern is the size of it and so forth, but also, let's say you mentioned the piping that, for the refrigerant, but then also the 2 residential units, are they gonna do the same thing? So we have more units on there eventually or not?
Yeah, that.
Say that again.
Right now, there's 2 residential floors above you.
Yeah.
So since you are changing their system, will they come back and, hey, we need more air conditioners on top of that?
This is a challenge that Lake Ann is going to be dealing with for some time now due to RALAC.
Yeah.
And
The residential using RELAC, which is the water chill system.
Yeah, but
so they still get their cooling from that, but it doesn't last for the time that you want to be able to have conditioned space.
You run, yeah.
You're allowed, right?
Got it. And you're a restaurant, correct?
Right, exactly. So then to answer your system, that in the corridor, they have the chute to go up where all the cable TV go up to the roof, so then the channel out. So then we're gonna use the same opening there to put our freon line and electrical wire.
That's inside the restaurant.
Outside.
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 Where is it located outside? Could you-
In the corridor, service corridor. You have the picture of the service corridor.
It's inside the building. There's a shaft where the exhaust
okay.
goes on the roof.
To understand that in the way that Lake End built that, above us is the residential, but they built in a chute, like a wall, or like a shaft, concrete shaft to go all the way to the roof from the service corridor.
Okay.
Okay. So
And one of the concerns is maybe that shaft doesn't allow us to run because I need 3 lines.
this is the,
So I guess hand those down,
Yeah.
let everyone see them.
that's the service corridor there. And that is the cable go up. That's where where the freon line and electrical wire they're gonna go.
But your intention is to run the conduit and all that up using this.
Yeah.
We try.
They're gonna try to.
We cannot use it because maybe it doesn't give us space enough.
No. Maybe a different story. She doesn't have a chute. She doesn't have the shaft. We have it, yeah. So that, to a different story.
We have Mr. Klinsky. Mr. Klinsky has a.
Let's stick with it.
Okay.
So you have an exhaust fan on your roof.
We do.
And so that exhaust fan runs through that shaft.
Mm-hmm.
And
No, the fan is next to it. You see the square, big square, that is for the exhaust system.
Okay.
Where's your exhaust?
This is for the exhaust system. This is the opening of the cable.
And is that something that was originally?
Originally designed that
When
way.
you moved
Yeah,
in?
exactly. So this is the cable looking up. Got it. Yeah, like that.
So there's a shaft for the exhaust system that goes through there, and there seems to be some interstitial space in the opening of the concrete floor above that allows room for cables. They have wires going up through it now, and it looks like they're gonna, it'll be, if you're putting 3 units in and their refrigerant pipes, according to this, were 3/8 inches diameter, and then they're also gonna have insulating, but
Yeah.
it's gonna get a little bit tight.
Yeah.
So you might hit now that's from the part of the shaft that I can see that's open. Hard to tell further up whether it's.
It's a part of those buildings I've never seen.
We then remove the cap,
Yeah.
the roof.
Exactly.
No, I mean, you would never see it. It's a space for I mean, so you can see some of the concerns we
I
have
understand.
are obviously,
I understand. We
some
have,
of the other ones that we've seen in the past, the conduit has had to run down the exterior
Exactly.
of the building.
they are very special. We're lucky that the way they designed originally. First, we bought the other unit for original. Later on, we can find out we cannot make the exhaust system. So the previous owner say, hey, how about you buy the whole thing? So that's why we bought the whole, 3 units, three bay, we call it bay, to have that outside shaft, concrete shaft, so that we can put our exhaust system in there.
Oh.
Yes.
It sounds like it sounds like you potentially have an avenue that will allow you to do it.
Yep.
I'm not a mechanical guy at all, so I don't have any. If that's achievable through whatever requirements it has to meet,
Right.
that eliminates one of the concerns we would have regarding conduit being an
Do
exterior.
you need us to resubmit to measure the whole opening and resubmit it how we do it and things like that, right? Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. You may go first. I already had the floor once. You may, I'm waiting for it. Okay.
I'm gonna get you next then, Kay.
Knowing that these roofs never had such a structure on top of these, do you have some kind of verification that the roof can support these? And do we have any issues
Yes.
with vibration?
Our existing system,
Yeah, structurally, that's great, but I mean, from a standpoint, but it'd be great to have you come back that, yes, you had a structural engineer verify that these units will be up there and that there will not cause any adverse vibration to the unit, the residential unit
Sure.
below the roof. That's my concern. And are these concrete or wood structure,
concrete, yeah.
concrete roof?
Not the roof, but the side is concrete. We're gonna use.
The roof is wood truss system. So I'd be concerned about the weight and the vibration. That's my.
Yeah, they can
Weight
show him.
vibration,
Just
yeah.
show him this picture.
This is.
That's gonna be the same.
Um, existing AC unit of all the commercial.
Okay, now, is that what you're gonna do? You're gonna put beams? across?
Exactly.
Okay, so you are gonna support it, so it's off the roof
Yeah.
and there's no vibration. That's
Right.
good. So it's supported by the concrete walls.
That's not-
Floating.
That's not your existing, that's someone else's.
Yeah, but it's
Right.
gonna do the same.
You want to do that.
Exactly.
We're gonna shoot same.
We do exactly like
I
that.
want to make sure I was following that this is another.
That's good. Thank you so much for sharing. because
Right, yeah.
That solves my issues with structural and vibration.
Were we talking about screening with the other?
Well, the other one has a gigantic duct going down the side of the building, among other.
Donald, can you write out a note what we need to bring it in? Yeah, so.
This
Yeah,
proposal is more similar to the HVAC unit that you all
Yeah.
approved last fall, not the mechanical duct.
So we're not doing screening up on. the
They're not proposing screening. They're proposing just installing 3 exterior units.
I would
Be potentially visible depending on placement.
We were on the road down in Lorton when we heard that one.
So I think those photos are probably from the other restaurant space that you all approved last fall. They had to replace their HVAC units and they didn't have the
That's true.
interior shaft, so they had to go through conduit on the outside.
Yeah, and we had concerns about the exterior conduit in that one.
So we're gonna be exactly the same thing like the previous year unit that you proposed, except our Freon electrical go through the concrete shaft. Yeah. So we will provide the dimension of the shaft and how we're gonna do it. Yeah.
Most of the details that will come in through permitting are interior, besides the installation of the units on the roof.
No screening. You don't, y'all live there. Tell me. Should I be worried about screening or are y'all okay seeing all these?
Well, I'm trying to, so obviously the duct, the deli
Right.
project dominates one's vision.
Right.
When you look at that location right now, you can't, the only thing you notice is that it's very obvious. I think my biggest concern, because I think Mr. Plumpy's getting into it, is more and more folks are going to keep coming for these. And you guys, it's not necessarily your problem because they're going to come to us, but I want to try to be consistent as to how we make sure this is the most sensitive thing that goes on the roof of these. Because I don't want suddenly when you look up at the J building complex to just see a giant cascade of condensing units all visible. Also, the other big question is how much can that structure support if folks all start trying to go to that? So I think I really need to have a better understanding of how close is that to the ledge? How visible is that going to be from someone down there? So I think part of that would be having pictures when you come back of showing the existing conditions from the street. I think you had some of that in your package, but
Right.
it was really hard to make out in the pictures that were there.
In terms of the structures that you're concerned about the weight, you see this beam here?
Yes,
Those are the,
it's the wall.
I would say about a foot wide beam, concrete beam go all the way down.
And I'm less concerned about the weight because obviously there are better men than me that do those calculations and figure out.
Unit sitting on the.
I'm more concerned about the visual potential effect of this. And like you sent us a picture and you've got 3 orange hatches that say 3 condenser units. And I'm like, well, I mean, are they bright orange and sitting right on the edge? I know they're not bright orange. I'm being sarcastic here, but if they're sitting right there on the edge and, that's a new visual element that, are they back? Where are they going to be on the roof itself? Is that circle accurate or is that just a approximate
We
location?
try to push it back, not to see it from inside the lake end. Or outside parking lot, they can see it. We cannot hide it from parking lot.
And you do have 2 competing situations. You have the interior space, which obviously you don't want it visible.
Right.
So Chris, do you want to see a view from
On the roof where they
a
put.
vantage point of what those units look like? from-
Yeah.
Okay,
If you had a picture of these units from the street, can you see them from the street?
It's on the submitter. You just see it on the computer. Just saw it. And I have.
Go to another screen.
Orange.
Go to
So,
another
My
screen.
name is Donald Lee, and,
Yeah, my brother-in-law, yeah.
I was on the roof. I took all the picture. All the picture here is mine. And then, the thing is, you can see here, this is the back of the building. So the view that in the front of the plaza, you won't see this unit. This is the back side of the building. So if can you flip to the other picture?
I mean, I know it's the backside of the building, but it's also the entrance in which some people go into their home.
So right now,
To be fair, these buildings don't have a front or back in this traditional sense.
can you go back to the picture? We have the
One with the little.
the hood, yeah, the hood.
No, the orange
The
one,
picture that has the hood, the front of the residential unit, yeah, sorry.
the one with the three.
You go back to the residential unit, right there. So right now that the only thing you see here is the hood, exhaust hood of another restaurant and my hood. So then what I'm thinking about that we're gonna put the I-beam, the further back and install those installation because next to it, this is the corridor, the shaft, the concrete shaft go down right here. So we're gonna put all the unit behind that. So hopefully we will not see the unit from the parking lot area.
That'd be great.
That would be great. I think when you do come back for whatever the materials show,
Yep.
this is the location on the roof where we plan to install.
Thank you.
That, and you've already given us all the context about how big their space to be. I think that's gonna be
So
very.
what I will do is I will create a, like a piece of plywood about the dimension of that side and plant it there.
That's wonderful.
And then take a picture from here, then you will see how that works. I used to be mechanical engineer, so I can do. Yes, any other question?
Bring a VRF.
Well, and that's, I think, yeah, and I have a feeling that that's gonna be,
That's all good.
but I'm trying to figure out
Right.
how much are we talking about, how visible is it gonna be?
Right.
I
agree.
recognize that if you put something on the roof like that, it's gonna, if you go one way, it's gonna be visible on one side, if you go the other, it's visible on this side. It's gonna be difficult to hide. I think it's more, given the color and size, it's less of an issue personally for me than what we've been seeing other people propose.
But I also have an idea because this unit is pretty skinny. So we stack it like this way on the roof.
Yeah.
So you cannot see it from the street. And then the rest of the beam, if you're concerned, other residential like to put on, they welcome to use the beam as a part of the support system. Yeah.
Great.
There any other?
Yeah, I mean, that was, again, didn't have anything on the roofs originally.
Yeah.
All these things.
No, the Raylac was the,
It's sprouted over the years.
and it's gonna be a problem we're gonna keep coming into, but,
So my question is, I resubmit, then how long we can have the review again?
so I mean, if you get the materials together, you get it back to Daniel, you could be on the December, we meet monthly, so.
Monthly?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Talk to Daniel.
I would say, just to recap, kind of planning material that helps us understand exactly where they're going on the roof. We're gonna need that. Make sure you're certain you're going through that shaft. Work with your mechanical guy to make sure that it sounds like it is, and if so, that really eliminates one of the big issues we had in the previous ones. And then if you can represent to us accurately what it's gonna look like conceptually, I think that'll help us moving forward on this one. So otherwise, did I summarize, I think,
Yeah.
what everyone had here?
Yeah, and Mr. Daniel, when he said accurately, doing the plywood mock-up is.
Yeah, that, if you can do that and show us that,
I will.
it'd be very helpful.
And take it from the plaza side and from the back side, your pictures.
Sure.
That'd be very good. Thank you.
If you're gonna place your beams on this roof, looking at this, it's the plaza side, you're gonna have a closer view and you're gonna have a steeper pitch to look up. From the parking lot side, you're gonna have a longer range to see it. So if.
No, our parking is not big because you get into the wood. Yeah.
But
Yeah, I will.
from afar, you're gonna see it from afar, whether it's in the parking lot or if you're standing in the woods.
Right.
My point is if you're gonna do it, the inside curve, the tighter radius, you wanna be closer to that. Don't put it halfway, put it
Closer to the.
put it about a third of the way off of the plaza. Don't put it towards the back on the residential side.
And I recognize you also have Larka as well as the Reston Design Review Board that you got to talk to as well.
See if you're out here.
Just
You're not gonna.
to be clear, just like we said to the other applicant who was talking about their HOA, we are not beholden to their decisions or vice versa. So, and I know that makes it very, I appreciate you coming for a workshop because we could talk through this. And so I think if you come with those pictures and that contextual information, I think that should be very helpful. As long as also being very clear about that interior shaft thing, having that very clear in the package that that's where you're going. That'll help the next one.
Got it. I'm glad that we have this workshop, otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we submit the application, but then we did not know how the process works. So then, thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Mr. Late, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to our third workshop item. This is ARB 24 CRM 02 WS 1295 Colvin, sorry. Colvin Forest Drive, new construction. This is the applicant is proposing to demolish an existing residence and construct a new residence located in the Colvin Run Historic Overlay District, Colvin Run Mill Historic Overlay District. Mr. Deepak Yuanbru.
Deepak and Vijay. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time. I know it's Thursday night. Everybody wants to see the Commanders win, so
Lions.
I like the Lions too.
Thank you so much.
I hope they win. I think we uploaded some stuff on Plus. We have a PowerPoint presentation. Are you guys familiar with that area? I know a lot of folks.
Yes.
Most of the things I read was Alexandria and, closer to.
This used to be what we used to see a lot of, we do a lot of Holland Hills now, but we used
Yeah.
to see your district.
Yeah,
And yours is across the street anyway, right?
yeah, that's why.
Well, it's across the street from the mill. It's across
Well-
Route 7.
Yes,
Across the highway.
yeah,
Across the highway.
yeah. I mean, you can barely see the house anymore now with that wall that.
Yeah,
So that's one of the biggest things that we want to talk about.
the arrow is pointing to it.
So this is the subject property, which is sitting on a acre lot, close to 0.97 to be precise. And as you can see, this is Route 7, and this is hidden from the rest of the world, literally. And
With
we
the new
have
wall that they put in, the retaining wall.
Yeah, so I'll present some YouTube videos which you can go through. And a little history, before purchasing this lot, we contacted the ARB board and got some feelers and inputs as to what we can do and what we cannot do. And after getting, substantial assurance that, a new house is possible, then we went ahead and purchased this lot. So right now, so this is the house behind, and there is one house adjacent, and this is the entrance here, if you can see. So the current house is facing this side. It's not facing the road. So, since this is a big lot, so there is a big driveway, and you take a L and you go into the house, you reach the house. Okay, so what we wish to do is like, my partner said, we want to build a new house, of course, conforming to the design standards. And if we can go to the next.
I mean, ideally, we wouldn't like to build a new house, but the house is so deteriorated. There's a lot of issues. Even I think we haven't hired a structural engineer to look into it, but it does have structural issues.
Yeah, it's a 1945 house, and like you said, right, it's in a very dilapidated situation. And the house behind is kind of, half gone. I would probably say it's not living worthy.
I don't even know if somebody lives there
Yeah.
or not, but.
So, and that is how the condition of the homes are in and around that area. So again, like I said, this is the entrance. These are the sound barrier walls on both sides. And there is already a house here, and we are not in the core of the mill. So we are far off. Okay, we are about 0.8 miles from the actual Colvin mill site. And, the current entrance is, the driveway is like this, and it turns and it reaches the house. And this is completely hidden from anyone's view. Yeah, next slide, please.
And you have elevations. Are you going to show us what you're thinking?
Yeah, we have some suggestions. Obviously, we were looking for you guys to tell us, hey, this is okay, this is not okay. So we go according to how you guys.
Yeah, so this is a preliminary design, obviously, right? Once we get your inputs, we will work with the architect, and then probably will come up with more concrete details and sketches and
Elevations,
elements,
yeah.
right? And go from there. So if you look at, right, so this is the picture. This is the entrance, and then we turn
complete 90 degrees, and the house is sitting somewhere
Right behind that tree.
behind the trees.
Is it a one-story house now, currently?
It is a one story. It's a Ramblers,
Two
stories, yeah, but
2 story
basement too.
basement.
Yeah, 2 story.
Proposal's gonna be a 3 or 5?
No,
No.
no, just same, 2 stories
And a basement.
with the basement, yeah.
If you can, I just want you to see a video. I hope the links are available for clicking so that you can see it.
Killed.
Yeah, I saw you all did videos. That's,
You saw them?
I think the first time we've had someone bring a video for.
The first.
Really? Nobody else?
Mr. Shane, I walked this site because of the park trail, and it is,
Yeah.
it's totally different than what it used to be because of the sound wall.
Mhm.
Great.
Yeah.
It's a disaster.
So this is how it looks like,
Yeah, the basement has a lot of issues. I mean, I didn't wanna, it's got mold issues, it's got a lot of issues. The older lady that used to live there, she was actually amazing. I didn't get to meet her, but I was talking to her daughter. She was actually the first woman magistrate in England.
Wow.
Sorry, Indian woman magistrate.
Okay.
Yeah, in
India?
UK. In the UK. But she loved the property, but she could not take care of it. So it
she
has,
could not take care of it.
it's been like, I think, over a decade that nothing has been done.
This is the property and, everything is shaky and shabby at this point in time. And
Is the existing grading of the house pretty much the same elevation of Route 7?
I'm not,
Down a little bit, or it's about the same elevation, the grade of the yard?
it's so hard to tell with that wall now.
Oh, yeah.
It's,
About the same.
Yeah.
It goes, well, put it this way, when you drive onto the driveway,
Yeah.
you slope down.
it does slope down a tiny bit,
Okay,
I would say, because when you come in, when you take that turn, it does slope down.
gotcha.
So we're having an issue with the lag between the computer and the room.
Oh, for the video?
You all have the links
Yes.
to view later.
Mostly the videos we took, so you can see how like really bad it looks. So
It's pretty much level, with.
Yeah, but if you watch the video, I mean, yeah, but it looks like it goes.
it does go down.
Go down slightly, yeah.
And even the house, when you go, like if you go to the basement, the house sits up a little bit elevated. So
Gotcha.
there is a
And are you planning to do any kind of columns or something that is more visually seen from Route 7, or are you keeping those existing columns, or are you doing
columns as
the driveway markers? I think I saw some brick columns.
or the old column, there's just 2 columns.
Are you gonna?
No.
Okay.
We want
So that's important to show that too, because that's really what people will see,
to, okay.
especially from Route 7.
Yeah, so this is. And if you look at the signal, right, that is where the actual Colvin run is, which is, I actually measured, it's about 0.8 miles far from the, visual site, actually.
I think the reason we're saying that is I understand that this is a historic district, but we're very close on the line where we could be even,
I gotcha.
So I understand there's a lot of things that we have to follow, but do keep in mind that we're very close to the edge and you can almost not see the house with the retaining wall that they put.
Yeah,
So
totally.
I think you made,
Yeah.
I think you made,
Yeah.
you made the point that it's not directly thing, but it's still in the historic.
Historic district, yes, obviously, yeah.
So.
Do you want to go and show them?
Yeah, I think the
We'll joke about our Lake Ann projects.
okay, so if you can scroll down a little,
Do you have any pictures of,
the proposed, no,
there should be some few other slides with the houses, pictures of houses that we might, yeah.
Is that the potential?
Yeah, if you guys are okay with it, I obviously we will go according to the regulations that.
You got some ideas you're thinking about,
Yes.
the next few things in your presentation.
Yeah, exactly. We will definitely go by.
More
Can we do something?
dramatic than others, I would say.
Can we do something modern or is that a no?
So, I mean, so I don't know if you want to go through each of your pictures real quick you had this one, you had a much more modern one.
this is much more modern.
And then was your last one a building in Fairfax County?
Yeah, this is in Fairfax.
Okay.
Yeah.
Does it have a big porte cochere that you're on the corner?
So this building is close by our building. I don't exactly know how far.
Yeah,
it is close by.
I'm very aware of that.
Yeah, so just,
I don't want you to build that. I'm just gonna be flatly honest. Don't,
It's good. I like that. At least you're giving us input.
If you don't mind me, how are you gonna source the building? I mean, where are you gonna get a design from?
We have architects and designers that we work with. So if I can, the whole point of this was to feel out what you guys like, what you guys don't like. Obviously, this is not gonna be liked, so we're scratching that off. So more like what you guys like, then I can sit down with my designer and architects. Okay, these are the things that these guys like, these are the things.
candidly, I think that's trying to be a mixture of a bunch of different things and it doesn't know what it is.
Okay.
That's problematic to me because I'd rather,
I think the first
You
one,
want us to actually present something that we would want to put there.
yeah, the first one was.
I think the other key thing is like, while we're in architecture, we're concerned about the historic overlay districts. We also are concerned about new design because we want it to be good design. So we want something that if you're gonna build something in an HOD, it's also not, it's quality design. So that, I think that's where we have architects on our board who have, great insight. on things.
And this is another, we were not able to put it on time, but this is something which exactly coincides with the grading level that we have because the left side of the house is sitting a little down. And
If you want to walk, I mean, again, board's not monolithic. I see that I'm driving through that portion of the county.
Well, it's a vernacular, it's an area of vernacular for farmhouse architecture. And the lines of that strike me as most compatible.
this is one of the.
Yeah.
When I could think of the existing.
You're talking to this one, right?
Yeah, this one. Honestly, we were leaning also towards this one, so.
That is,
Some of, we've driving around, we see some new structures and all that, and we're like, wow, this looks nice. So if you can do it, great. If not, it's not a.
I mean, generally speaking, a lot of the input we give, because we know a lot of the new construction is going to go a lot bigger, particularly in this part of the county, but Ms. Murray's right. There's vernacular architecture out there, attention to details, also making sure that the massing of a single roof isn't so imposing that it's monolithic so that if it's visible, it isn't, too dominating what's right. Granted, you're in a lot that's constricted already by a lot of screening.
There's a simplicity to that roof form that echoes the farm architect, farmhouse architecture. It's a little bit more, it's very McLean. And
I love this.
it's not as straightforward and simple as.
Be blunt and.
That's not bad.
I mean, that, Ms. Murray nailed it. It echoes the farmhouse. It's a modern version of the farmhouse. And it's.
This is the one I like, so.
It's the bulk of it, it's the roof form, all those things kind of come together.
Okay.
So it's not absolutely pure farmhouse, that
And you know what?
second garage hidden behind
Okay.
kind of breaks from that, but though that reads well and would work on in this.
And please don't put any shutters on the windows that, okay.
If it isn't a shutter,
No shutters.
then please don't shutter the windows.
One thing I was going to say is that it's very important, at least for me, is from Route 7, if you can show how high the house will be taller than that sound wall or whatever, because I assume it's going to be taller than the existing house, or maybe not.
we don't think so, but obviously when we get into the details, we'll present that.
Yeah, bring a site grading plan. I assume you're coming back for a second workshop. Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe a third one too.
I think this
See you in the new
is
year.
55 through there.
Yeah, it would.
But not,
What you said?
there is traffic and people do slow down.
Yes,
And there are people who do walk on the path.
that's true.
That's.
But again, just, pictures is one thing. When we went actually and looked, because not many people go near the sound bearing walls and see, they're really tall.
Sure.
They're really tall.
And I think, I mean, Mr. Plumpy's right, knowing that the site grading plan is what how tall is it going to be?
Yeah.
Those constraints put in be helpful, but that's a good concept to start from.
Yeah.
That's feels more cohesive than the last one you showed does not look cohesive. It looks.
No. So that is the reason why it did not go into the presentation.
No, but so I think working from there and knowing a little bit more about the site, I think then we'll be able to give you more insight there. Obviously, you're right. You've got the sound walls. This is a changed space. If it were Route 7 you have now, it'd be very different. It'd be a very different environment we'd be working with of trying not to have a structure competing with a historic structure just nearby, but instead you've got a lot more in your favor in this situation.
I think it's important, when you come back is to show some pictures of the context of the houses next door to you. There's that large house behind you, at least around the edge of the district. If you go to the aerial view,
Yeah, the new one you're talking about, that's close.
whatever, that looks huge. Is that as big as, is that 10,000 square feet or whatever?
That's that new one, I think.
Yeah, the one
Up.
playing left. Yeah, that one. That looks like it's
Well, that-
a church. I mean, it's huge.
No, it's,
That's actually, it's fairly modest. I think what's thrown is the paving really
Okay.
makes it look, that's like a 1970.
yeah, it's not a big.
Really, no joke? Okay, all right.
This, if you look at right
Gambrel revival, there's a gambrel roof over the garage.
Yeah, he's got pretty nice things outside
So
too.
this, the roof is gone for some reason. They've been, I
that
doubt if someone is
half-
even
halfway.
living in it. And there is a house which was built, if you go.
It's a newer house. I'm not sure. I don't think they had to go through this, but
It's not the historical district. Okay.
We are not sure whether it is in the
I don't
historical
think so.
district, but. it's
According
like
to,
about
according to
100.
the map, it's a little bit.
Yeah, so there's a church nearby and adjacent to the church, there's a big,
It's like a 10,000 square foot.
it's a 10,000
It's a newer
square foot house.
house,
that is-
modern.
Is that what's directly beneath what is that what the structure we're talking about? The,
No, it's off the
It's
photo.
off the photograph.
oh, okay. And what's the one with the big tar parking lot?
That's the,
That's the neighbor.
One that
This is so, but the other property is somewhere
That's
here.
the one you're,
They're talking about this one. They're talking.
okay.
Oh,
That's right above us.
Okay.
We share the line.
I mean, let's face it, your footprint's gonna be quite large, right? Compared to what's there now, correct?
A little bit larger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then
We
you
are
go,
not actually planning to go very big. So we are trying to, like I said, right, around 5,500 square footage to 6,000 square footage home. All 3 floors combined.
Very
sure.
So, yeah.
Okay. That's good. It'd be interesting to see your site plan when you,
Yeah.
once with the next time.
Yeah, obviously, we also appreciate tree conservation too.
Yeah.
That's another, it's something that I think the Colvin Run district is known for, other than Route 7, is the very nice vegetation and tree environment. So knowing, as much as you can to utilize this.
One thing that we were thinking about is because obviously when you live in that house, you don't want to look at that wall.
Right.
It would be the worst thing ever. Could we put some bamboos or something like that? Because that would be the.
You can't do bamboo. I don't think.
Just put I will help you when you get to that.
Okay.
Sure, okay, all right.
You could paint a mural, of bamboo.
Fairfax County has banned.
I know.
Bamboo?
I know, it's a lot of other-
There's bamboo there actually already.
You might, when you're going for your grading plan, you may be required to remove it.
Probably so.
If you remember, I showed you there's bamboo behind the house and then also on the neighboring
Yeah.
lot. There's
Right,
bamboo.
neighboring lot,
Yeah,
That's
bamboos and
differentiates it
eventually.
Okay.
Bamboo may bamboozle you. But, no, it sounds like you've got, yeah, with that, I get to make those. I think seeing more ideas that you have, yeah, we'd be happy to work with y'all.
we're pretty open to work with, as long as.
Very happy that you're coming at this stage, actually. We've had other instances.
But you didn't want me to build it already and then come in?
It's been done. It's been done. Yeah, unfortunately.
Before we even bought it, we actually met with Daniel and we met, I don't remember her name, but she was very helpful.
Denise, probably.
Denise.
Dennis, right.
Y'all are doing great then.
Yeah, you guys.
And they literally told us, okay, here's the stuff, look at it. So we read it and we're like, yeah, this is doable.
There's a subdivision of Colvin Run Mill Road that was built and totally, absolutely not approved. Whole street worth of houses.
You guys are doing great then, we've got.
So we're on the right direction.
Just seeing you at a future workship.
Hopefully maybe this.
Time with the people across the street from you. We've spent a lot of time with the people over the hill from the mill.
Okay.
So, if you want to look at,
I think there were some issues on some of the houses above there that have like water penetration or some issue.
well,
Remember, we looked at that and you said you talked to the county and they said that there's a lot of water problems or something like that. It's actually right above there. I don't
And
know.
in particular, the money house we spent an exorbitant amount of time with, but obviously that's a historic house that was having additions. So that was much more challenging because we were having a contributing structure in the district having to do changes. So,
okay.
But I would suggest, if you're looking for elements to take notes from, the map you have right here, it shows Colvin Run, but there's also the Miller's House, the Cockrell House, the Money House. Looking at those, we're not asking you to do anachronism and create a, bloated, version of vernacular house, but if you can take some notes from that in your design, that would be great.
Give your architect a chance to be creative.
Be creative.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is EA7 your company?
No,
Okay.
I wish
I don't know what it is.
have to.
Emporio Armani.
Yeah. Oh, come on, stay in there.
I'm in a fashion. I just picked my Johnson Murphy. I don't.
You have a good sense, man. You like the Lions, so
Thanks.
I hope they make it this year.
They will. We'll play you in the championship.
Okay.
All right, well, so we have one more.
Just so there's not a surprise, it's, I just was reading the archaeological resources section of the design guidelines, and I just wanted to know, do you think you'll need, there won't be rezoning?
No.
Will there be a development plan?
No.
No, there won't be one of the triggers that it's required, but we talked about this when that it could be a recommendation because of the amount of grading that would
Right.
be involved.
Exactly. Okay, so basically, land disturbing activity of 2,500 square feet or more located wholly you're wholly within the HOD. So I think we would make a recommendation for you to talk to the archaeology and collections branch.
So land disturbance more than 2,500?
Yeah, which it will be.
Which you absolutely will.
Be about 10,000 square.
And it's not, it's initially at least a desktop review that county staff will do for you to make an assessment about whether they have concerns based on the prior disturbance. A house is there now. I don't know what appurtenances might be there, but if there's a case to be made that prior disturbance probably, may have just.
We have to get a land disturbance permit anyways, right?
Yeah, sediment.
We're saying it early at this point now, it'd be good to touch base with them.
Those guys?
Yeah, to say, this is what, we have a conversation with them, and Ms. Mangum's right, they'll give you their recommendations that'll help inform what kind of archaeological.
Yes.
Appreciate that.
I don't want that to be a surprise, so.
Do you have a civil engineer yet on the team?
We have one that we use all the time, but we will use them.
Yeah, okay, that's good, because
He's from the area, so.
they'll be submitting the plans that she's talking about.
Okay.
That will trigger something.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks
for-
a lot.
Thank you for enduring to the end of the
Yeah, oh, no.
items. I appreciate that.
Our pleasure
My
to
pleasure. I hope I
sit
didn't,
and listen your thoughts.
Yeah. I hope I didn't disturb too many with my cough. I didn't want to not come here today. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Take care.
All right, that takes us out of a workshop. We don't have a presentation. They
I
decide,
think in December.
okay, they're coming in the summer. That's very polite.
They're short week.
But
There you go.
we haven't gotten through board and staff items yet.
Yeah, but
Joe, that's, okay. So that takes us to board and staff items. First on the agenda is review and action on approval of previous month minutes. Unless there was someone who had any edits or corrections to add to the minutes, I would entertain a motion to approve them and pay the recording secretary.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Zellman.
There be approved the October 10, 2024 meeting minutes and pay the clerk Ryan Johnson.
All right, seconded by Ms. Murray. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Treasurer's report as of October 31st, 2024, we had a spooky balance of $26,712.98. And I did also, at least I signed one approval to release funds for somebody for their payment requests.
Slowly working its way through
Okay.
the system, so it should be.
I will say I attempt to sign those the day Daniel gives them to me to say that you all should be paid. So,
I will not say anything about the finance office.
it's not going on here.
Oh, yeah.
We signed it and processed any of those requests rapidly.
I have actually, because I'm the History Commission's treasurer this year, I've met with these people, so I can visualize.
Oh, okay.
They're nice.
All right. Administrative, our nominating committee of Mr. Kalinsky and Ms. Swan.
Yeah.
So we many hours.
Just like last year.
Canvassing door to door. Just, we'd like to nominate Mr. Zellman Chair of the board?
Oh, is this a surprise?
Well,
or did you
I mean, you didn't have to announce it now, but I mean, we'll vote on it next month.
Okay, but
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Zellman,
we'd like to nominate you as vice.
oh, you're asking me now. Okay.
Nominate you.
Oh, okay.
And treasurer, I'd like to nominate Ms. Zellman.
Miss
Like,
Zellman.
I-
My wife's not here.
Yes.
We're just one.
Okay.
Oh, my daughter, she's 8, so which one?
Yes.
He threw me off. With his look of
His
surprise.
Well, I didn't
Surprise,
ask
I
me.
know.
Did we talk about this?
No, we didn't talk about it.
Did you do background?
Yes.
checks?
Would you be willing?
I will accept your nomination as vice chair. So, so we have a slate for next month to vote on. Mr. Zellman for chair, the vice chair, Ms. Mangum for treasurer.
And why do you think I tried to pawn this off on you?
Did you do a background check on her?
Yeah, exactly.
She's on the level.
Okay, that's
Somebody in the background, we're good.
Okay.
Credit score off the charts. So, yeah, I'm here first. and-
higher.
Well, Chris and I already talked. We promised we won't be here in January, so.
Yeah.
Neither. of us.
Oh, right.
Are you gonna-
All government efficiency will be.
All right, all right, all right. Recorded meeting, recorded meeting. All right, so we have our nominations for December, which we'll vote on. Daniel has shared with us the 2025 meeting schedule. So you can see, we obviously have our regular meetings, but we also have our potential special meetings. What's our rate on using this? Because we've been pretty good this year, I feel like.
We're probably at about 30% for the year. Just, I'll say this while we're talking about it, very strong possibility of 2 December meetings. Given what I know is coming. So this schedule is just following the schedule you all decided upon for this current year, where we have the regular meeting on the second Thursday of every month and that hold on the following Monday for if we have to split. August is not on here because of the August recess, which always creates a little bit of a backlog. And the one date that is the exception is the February potential special meeting because of a federal holiday on the Monday.
I cannot speak for the incoming administration, but I have strived to, as Daniel is do, he always puts an ask out when we talk beforehand. And this one was a question of, would it be too long or should we, and that's like, let's ask folks if they want to do one or the other,
Done good.
you know, so well, we had someone not show up.
We had-
So that really helped.
Did have one applicant not show and we had 2 people reschedule. So
So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Fortune favored
Worked
us.
out.
But, you know, we try to make the decision based on what Daniel's seeing and what we know about controversy and projects too.
I had a question. Isn't
Mr. Burns wasn't here to brag about his $500.
Yeah,
more
the
house.
$500 house. That's true.
I'm looking at the calendar, unless I'm wrong here, unless my computer's wrong, isn't next month, I'm sorry, December 24, in the December 2024, it's Thursday is on the 12th of December? Or,
yes, that's for 2025.
oh, shit, I'm sorry. Okay. Wait.
So, yeah, 12.
I got all excited about nothing. Thank you, sir.
16th, if we have to hold a second meeting.
Got it. Like, I'm so sorry.
All right, just add those to your calendar.
I'll continue every month to send out that reminder ahead of the meeting. I can also, if you all prefer, send out 12 meeting invites so you have it on your calendar. I don't know how everyone prefers to.
I love that.
I already have it on mine.
Yeah.
automatically.
Okay. The reminder 2 weeks before probably is
Yeah.
a more efficient way to.
So, and it's going to be attempting to make sure we sell this space. So I think this has been working
Yes.
well.
So we will have this space. I think there is one, I've forgotten because of the number of meetings. I think there is one regular meeting that we're not able to use it. But we have it for, if not all, almost all of the regular meetings and most of the potential specials.
So that regular one we should do at the Lorton Workhouse, is what you're saying.
We could move it somewhere else if we're not able to meet in this room. I'll have to look. I did.
Got to throw a bone to my Mount Vernon district.
I did it.
Oh, we could meet at the,
There is a Bunny Brewing out there right now.
That's what I was thinking.
Pope Church, parish hall again.
Oh,
And
what's
we
that?
check out the ramp.
Yeah, the
We
public
went
church.
many years ago at Pohick Church and there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it would be nice.
So
Check out their
Pancake supper night, if there is such.
There's a what supper?
Pancake supper.
That's probably Shrove Tuesday. I don't think that's usually Shrove Tuesday
Okay.
as an Episcopalian.
What?
Pancake supper sounds nice.
Kiwanis Club, anyway, non-denominational.
Yeah, right.
Okay. So the ARB does have the possibility to meet in other places. We just might not have the same technology support we have currently. So that's just something to consider.
Right over at Lorton, you will. It's all set up. I've been on the board. So.
And Lord,
The elevator was
just
broken.
Well,
They vote for our computers, it won't matter.
oh yeah, well, that's coming.
So
That keeps going into the budget request.
It was submitted, so we'll find out.
there was a very dire letter that came out with the budget request that we're looking at dark times. Don't ask for more than you already have.
Sometimes
He didn't share that with you guys. I shared it with the history commission, so they wouldn't make any, wouldn't they?
All right, any other administrative items?
No.
All right, updates or reports?
I do have two things that I sent you all via email. The first was the update from Public Church, which I receive regularly, so you might be sick of them, but I think the progress looks great, and it was all responding to the feedback that Mr. Kalinsky, Mr. Burns gave during the site visit earlier this summer. So that should be done soon. I think they're at the point where they're just waiting to install the railings. And then the other memo that I shared with you was from the Fairfax County Park Authority regarding the documentation of the Mount Gilead carriage house, which they're going to do. They have engaged a consultant and they're going to do HABs level documentation before it is demolished. And our branch will receive a copy of that and it will be in our archives. So that is a little bit of a trade-off for a contributing resource being demolished.
You're talking about the carriage house?
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm so burned about that. I'm sorry. That's
You're allowed to be burned about it.
Yep.
Is it actually going to get submitted to the Park Service?
The way that the scope was written sounds like it.
Okay.
It's being done to the standards. I do not know if, because it's not a federal project, I don't know that they're not required to go through that process of the consultation, but it seems a little silly to take the photographs and then not go through the process of getting a number. I'm assuming that they're getting a number, but I asked for us to get a copy of it. So whenever we have a copy, I can share that.
That kind of thing has gone to the Virginia room over the years as well.
Right. So I kind of just asked for a copy and then we can share it.
Yeah.
With the Virginia room. We have a full archive in our office,
Yeah, I'm aware, and they have,
various levels of documentation.
yes.
Things people send us. Yep.
Mr. Chairman, since we're talking about that stable, because that's or the carriage house, it's a bone to be picked with a little bit is, if we do have the meeting at the Lorton House, it'd be very good. Maybe we had a tour of these buildings that are not kept up because they're in disrepair. We're going to have applications from Lorton, I'd say within the next 5 years to do some demolition or some really heartbreaking stuff going out there.
The last time we met there, I was struck by broken windows.
Oh, let's see.
Oh.
You got cave-in roofs now, some of the
When,
structures do.
when our new chair comes in, he can work with Daniel to identify a potential time, maybe in the summer or early spring to schedule something like that. That makes sense.
I'll think about it.
But it's quite disturbing. It's just, I'm floored. Yeah, because we sweated.
No, it's a very good point. And I mean, we've done meetings at the workhouse before too, just like so we just want to plan it for a time when it'd be nice to walk the ground.
Oh, yeah.
We did a tour too.
Yeah.
One time I locked my keys in my car.
Fun things.
Well, it'd be interesting if time permits and if people's schedules permit, of course, people will have jobs and so forth, is if there was a tour of some of the buildings that are really falling apart inside, not a hard one, like a hard tour, but just a quick tour in. But it's really the outside of the building will say it all, especially the power plant there. The roof is caved in.
Well, there's a bunch of potential hoops for poor Daniel there.
Oh, yeah. Well,
If we all take a tour together, then
it's a public meeting.
Show the public what it is.
But I know the workhouse as well as Laurel Hill have both arranged tours for ARB staff of the grounds, which would be really great to do. And I still do think for the folks that have to do the drive, having a meeting down at the other side of the county would be nice to them every once in a while.
You can definitely
just
coordinate to try to get them.
Oh, no, I mean for the Mount Vernon folks down to that end.
Complained once. Sorry.
So
Oh, no, Steve complains plenty about it.
So is Norton okay or not?
Yeah, no, I just, Yeah.
There's beer at the
If
destination.
you want to go meet at the Lake Hand Community Center, we can do that any time. Samantha would be all about that. You know, yeah.
We're gonna be at your house.
Yeah, it can be at my house, down the street.
Public meeting there.
Yeah.
All right. So so you have both of those, the pictures submitted. Those are the updates, correspondence. Then we have the heritage update.
Yes, so we've had a lot of reports that our branch is working on that I gave updates on. One big one, which I sent out the email today, so it might have gotten buried, is that we got the most recent draft of the mid-century modern countywide survey from the state. So if anyone wants to review it and has comments they'd like to share, we're requesting those by December 3rd. I shared it with all of you because the ARB in 2022 committed part of the funding for that study to happen. So it's obviously gone on more than the year cycle.
Yeah.
But it's close to wrapping up. So
I didn't get to look at it yet. It was on my works VPN. If I downloaded it, I would probably got locked out of it. So
I got to look at
take
it
glance.
during lunch, and a lot of the buildings in the Mount Vernon area are ones that I frequent, like my daughter's orthodontist,
Oh,
which is a VVKR building.
Mm.
And it really is a unique, cool space, and she has kept it original. It was her father's. Does it is the original 1960s fixtures, laminates,
Oh,
everything. It's amazing. The furniture, the rugs. I mean, it's been well preserved.
wow.
In the artwork, there's a lot of nice artwork, sculpture artwork there too. That the metalsmith who did the work on the building created some really nice artwork. But same with several of those things. Some were right down the street from where I live. I mean, it was just
Where do you live?
very interesting to realize.
Mount Vernon, you said Mount Vernon District, that we live.
Yeah.
Next to Holland Hills.
Thank you.
So the postmodern survey, which will be starting soon, is the next chapter. That's kind of how we're treating it. It's the period for the context and the directed survey is rooted in the mid-century period, and then goes all the way up to 1995. So it's going to be a continuation of that work. And part of the reason we went after that grant is because a lot of the resources that we are consistently reviewing during the development review process are 1980s and 90s eras office or commercial buildings, which we do not have any historic context for to evaluate them against. So it's just our branch saying this could be important, but we have nothing.
and we know VDHR really likes these type of properties too, for some reason.
They
Very,
enthusiastically supported
they've
the project, and
we've kind of been taking advantage of the fact they seem to really like these types of properties. So I think every time we put our proposal in, they've been like, yes.
we actually, for that grant, had to wait for extra money to shake loose, but that's how much they supported it. So that project, we decided on a consultant, but it's not official yet. So that will be the next update, is when we have the consultant, and then that directed survey and context will be taking place over the next year.
Great. Old business, Dunloring School rezoning. So so I will say, I provided comments during the last planning commission meeting, which expressed either recommending they deny or defer the application because they had not gone to the ARB, and that the efforts being proposed did not consider our input. Fairfax County Public Schools, and I know they won't listen to this because they clearly don't take advice on recommendations. They don't study, they only do, apparently. They basically just, oh, no, we didn't talk to the ARB because we didn't think it was required. And because
It wasn't required.
yeah, and because it wasn't required, we didn't do it. And so that was their answer, and they kind of said, oops, they're like, we probably should have, but we're at 100% design. So we didn't think you guys cared about buildings after we demolished them, if we build new ones. And so they learned fairly clearly in that meeting that not just myself, but other members, History Commission, as well as other presenters and members of the Planning Commission fully disagreed with their
They
interpretation.
totally blew off the comprehensive plan. Anything about heritage resources in the comprehensive plan, they ignored.
Yes.
And staff told them about it up front.
Yeah.
I checked in with Denise to find out
Oh,
what
yeah.
we were told, and they knew.
That has been a message we've made over and over again when we talk to them, is that you've been told continuously that this is something you should keep in mind.
Yeah, Chris and I had a meeting with, I guess, the design folks for the school system, and the attorney, for the school system. I kind of let, Chris bad cop that one and me good cop that one, but,
It's gonna be.
that's why we're keeping a better way to put it. Chris, I think, very eloquently stated the ARB's case to the school, and Mr. McGranahan, who's counsel for the school system, and I had a back and forth about, while they're not required to come to us, and that, you know, we are still a body that can counsel on historic structures that are not in overlay districts, and we give recommendations, and that's something that the planning commission and the board of supervisors, you know, can and should take into account. And so it would behoove them certainly to do that in this case. And they were very, I thought he was very aggressive in saying, well, we have these proffers that we are giving to you on this project, and, you know, you can be included on that. And we're like, okay, that's great. And he also said, he kind of reiterated something Chris said about, you know, we didn't think you cared about, since it's going to be a new structure. And what I had said, you know, I kind of compared it to some of the other things we do in our historic districts. You know, for example, we talked about the Colvin Run House that they're demolishing, and they're building a new structure. That even when you build a new structure, we could give some feedback and recommendations about how to incorporate some historic elements into what the new structure that you build. And I think he heard that. I don't know that that is, I don't want to promise that it's going to be different next time, but I think that was at least heard.
There was a acknowledgement, I won't say if it was a commitment, but it was acknowledgement that they will now in the future better involve us in decisions. And they were looking into what schools of theirs are on the inventory. Daniel, you seem to have a thought on that.
I do have an update.
Okay.
So the meeting that Chris provided testimony at, the case was deferred until last night's planning commission hearing for decision only. And we found out yesterday that FCPS requested it be deferred until January so that they can continue public engagement, and they will be coming to the ARB in December and making a presentation. And my understanding is discussing additional options for maybe interpretation or.
Yeah. So one of the things, one of the problems I expressed was when they were talking to Jason and I, obviously the ARB is not monolithic, and he and I can't speak for you all. And so we continue to point out that's why you want to come talk to us, so you can hear all our expertise, particularly pointing out that he and I were an attorney and an architectural historian. So we weren't architects. So we use that as a point to point out that good design can come from our architects, our landscape architects, our team that we have here, the members we have. We also talked about how, I will just point out, the Exceptional Design Awards just gave awards to several Fairfax County Public School projects that did really good quality design on schools that would probably be close to potentially being on the inventory in the future due to their age. And so there was a lot of there's a partnership that could have been had. But the big thing that I pressed to them when they were getting to the state for yesterday was, I don't think their proffers are sufficient. And they made the case during several of their meetings that the site and the school there can't meet their needs. And I recognize that the building itself could not meet the capacity needs they have. Could it be integrated into something? Maybe, but they've made a decision to say that no, it's not. But I think the proffers that they've proposed don't go far enough. And so one of the suggestions, and I'm glad they pulled it back, was there was a lot of community interest in this project. And given the fact that it was on land that was donated by a previously enslaved individual to then be used, given, through that process, as well as having a long history of being a PWA project, I thought ethnography is appropriate there. You've got a long history at the site. So
Do you remember it was a white school until
Yeah.
1965, even though it was a former slaves property.
yeah, I know. But I think there's a whole history you can tell there.
Oh, I agree with you. I've
And right now, the proffer says they'll do a little display, interpretive display, and there's not a lot of teeth in that. And I think there could be more if they're going to go through it. I think there'd be more there. And they're supposed to salvage 50 bricks and maybe build a bench. And I don't think you can build a bench with 50 bricks very effectively. And so the interpretive approach for using salvage materials seems a little shaky too. So I would keep that in mind when they're here, that I think we have latitude to push on them. They may not accept it, but there's things to think about. There's also these giant walls that are being built around the school. So they're
Retaining walls
retaining
Retaining
walls.
and regrading.
I personally thought that's another place for interpretation that you could do if you're creative. If you're going to have them, there are other constraints with the site. For those that didn't listen in or hear about the meeting, the community also has lots of concerns because it will change the traffic environment there dramatically. And
It's too small and it's a
Yeah.
too busy corner.
the streets on the side, some of the side streets that aren't the main street have just curbs. They're not, rolled curbs and stuff like that. It's people are worried about people getting hit by cars. There was a lot of other factors at play. So I'm glad they pulled it back. I don't know if a month and a half will save them, but at least we'll get to hear from them now.
There's
Like-
a lot of details in the school, nice wooden windows, wooden trim around the openings to hallways that are.
Yeah.
It's such a shame and it ought to be gone.
Is it just recommendations we can give them? Is that it?
I mean, yeah, it's not something, they're not coming to us for an application, so we don't have a denial of approval, but I think we should be pragmatic for the fact that they're gonna come to us and they already are at 100% design. I don't know what that means for if there are changes, but I am doubtful. But we should be thinking about what can we suggest to recognize that site.
Well, since, okay.
I was just gonna say, I think the other thing we could do, and probably our architects, not me or Chris, could speak to them a little bit more about what they could have done,
Yeah.
or what our
Yeah,
feedback
that'd be-
would have been
Yeah.
if they were not at 100% design, just to show how we could be useful to them for future projects, not necessarily this one.
I was gonna say, our firm is involved with a property in Arlington, which is a historical school site, which is owned by Melwood. Melwood is a nonprofit for helping disadvantaged people, so with autism and so forth. So they'd like to build a new school there on its property. So Arlington has forced us, Arlington County, to go through rezoning and stuff just like this is that they are requiring us not to do a facadomy of the building because it can't, because it's in this location, but is to try and replicate architectural details that will represent what the building used to look like on part of the new facade. I think that'd be interesting to see what they do, if they totally ignore that, or even, like, for instance, in this project I'm speaking of, is that we did the windows that would mimic the existing window, like the scale, the size, and that kind of stuff, so that one could have that twinkle in the eye of it. And then there'll be a plaque too about the interpretativeness of it.
I mean, given the age of the original school and the style it's in, and now the current standards for schools, they're under a lot of constraints and to do anything in this site. And that's part of the problem, is they're working the site that.
They also need not just the building, but they need the bus lanes. And
Yes.
the parents,
Yeah,
bus lanes, and it's very close to the intersection.
But Mr. Zelma's right, though. This is a chance for us to give advice on what they could have done, because I even mentioned the old Mount Vernon High School. And while that's not that was like, look, we found a way to work with that project team to give suggestions into their design, and they sought them, and it was a very collaborative process. So, I hope, Daniel, we can make sure they come with something that shows what they're proposing in the design.
I've requested any information that they want to distribute you all for us to have before Thanksgiving, so I can distribute it with the other action agendas or action applications. I will also make sure that you all have a copy of the staff report. I think I've sent it previously, but I'll make sure it's uploaded to it.
I still can't believe staff was recommending approval on that. That still just blows my mind.
Staff as in which staff?
The planning commission staff, I imagine. That's what it's meant to be, right?
Zoning evaluation.
The zoning evaluation board. It just, but anyways, that's, everybody's got different staff. We've got the best. That's all I'm gonna say. Yes.
Is there another school or county-owned property? I get on the subject of salvage, like maybe not at this site.
They talked a lot about so one of the presenters talked a lot about the architect who designed this school, and this is one of.
That's Tammy.
That's what I was looking up to see if it mentions on its webpage.
Was it one of 4, she said, remaining?
It's one of 3 remaining elementary schools designed by the architect, but he designed many buildings, many schools in Fairfax County and Virginia.
Okay.
It's a pretty prolific WPA era, or I don't remember his name, but
So that presentation was also really helpful. There were some really great speakers during the planning
Some of
commission.
my colleagues were very irate.
That's being torn down and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to the extent that the county, school board or school department has an area where they can stockpile materials or something like that, if there are you said there were really nice wooden windows and maybe some of the brick, if it's similar, like, is there a reason to, force them to?
I mean, it could be, that was a potential option, was to potentially provide for salvage at one point.
my understanding from the site visit that happened is that identified items were at least 50 bricks from the building. That's the number that was the site. I can't speak to why it's 50. And there is a plaque that's denoting it as a WPA or a school, which will be salvaged and either incorporated to an exhibit in the new building or donated to the Virginia room. There will also be HABS level documentation. My understanding from the staff site visit is that there is not a ton of intact salvageable. I haven't been there myself, but that's just what I've heard. I think there is probably room for more than 50 bricks, but that's sort of that discussion. I think that's what the point in the process is, maybe weighing in more on what does.
And I'm hoping we can weigh in more on that, because I also don't want them to build a display cabinet in the new school. And then day one, they put up a few cutout, whiteboard things. They print out a few pictures on and say, there you go. There's a display about the Dunloring School. And then, a week later it goes away, and obviously the cute pottery or other things the kids make go in there. And then there you go. It's gone. It's done. And that's what, reading that proffer as written, that is the lip service they gave us. That's the lip service that we'll get. And so I think it needs to be more substantial. There needs to be a little bit more language about the school, because otherwise 5 years from then, no one's going to remember. No one's going to have any interpretation about what was there.
I'll make sure that you all have the proper language as well.
And I think that'll help. I think part of this would be them wanting to avoid what happened at the last planning commission meeting, which was, I think you, and Daniel, you saw it, was we made our comments and then planning commission members all agreed that not including the ARB was a major factor to them. And we have more allies on that,
Really?
on that board than I realized.
Joke. Well,
Mr. Carter is one of us from the board.
Yeah.
So
What really frustrates me, and I won't drag this out, is that what frustrates me is that why don't they come to us before? We're always,
because they didn't have to.
No, but the zoning, well, maybe we need to change it so the zoning attorneys can say, we gotta go here before.
But I mean, we'd have to change a whole bunch of rules.
I
for
know,
that.
well, they'll never have them.
So we,
But the comprehensive plan did call for all that all along, and they
Yeah.
just said, we don't care about the comprehensive plan.
unfortunately, the way the comprehensive plan is written, it's a recommendation. And so our
And-
range
and-
reviewers, we heavily lean on that recommendation, but it is a recommendation. It's not a requirement.
They'll
The
never,
ordinance.
And they don't get in the game until way late.
they'll never do it.
But we recommended that they come to the ARB as far back as spring of 2022.
Well, if it makes anyone feel any better, I think the school made very clear that they didn't want anyone involved who was only at the recommendation level. It wasn't personal to the ARB.
Well, universally, if you were just
moving
giving
forward.
recommendations, then
They didn't have time for you.
in the meeting we did have, they seemed to say, we need to go back and look at our schools that might be in the inventory now and think about how we can better work with you.
3 of us from the History Commission also had a meeting last winter. And we got an assurance that things will be done better in the past. So I have to get in touch with Sue Kovach-Shimon to tell me who I was meeting with.
And I bad cop dragged, I think in that meeting, I dragged Fairfax County DOT by pointing out that, this isn't the only county entity that drags us through the mud.
Yeah.
And I mean, for the new administration, when they come in, if he wants to pursue that issue, or appoint me as special FPS, CPS school czar.
You don't have to, You don't have any blank records. That's.
But I think we should push them on following up on that afterwards too.
Yep.
So, all right. That's been ventilated thoroughly, I think. Staff report project.
Yes, so last month, I was not here in the room, but before the meeting, I shared some of the sample staff reports that we had tested. And kind of went through that submission matrix again and what those templates look like. So I just have this on here for if anyone has any feedback or thoughts. We are still testing that and working out some of the errors. Part of what this will require, and we cannot start rolling them out until we have adopted design guidelines. So those are like 2 projects on parallel tracks, which are both being worked on. We will have to update our submission schedule. Currently, all action applications are due by close of business 2 weeks before the regular meeting. Workshops are due 1 week. And so the night that workshops are due, I draft the agenda and I send it to the chair and we meet the following morning. And then we have to decide if we're having 2 meetings or 1. And we don't currently have any time to get additional materials or require that a certain number of materials be submitted for every package. So with that submission matrix and staff reports, we're going to be standardizing the base level for all packages in the different tiers. And we're also going to be backing up that submission schedule so that we have more time to process them and make sure packages are complete before they're distributed and before something's even on the agenda. Which I think part of the reason we're operating in the system is because we did not have that many cases before Holland Hills was introduced as an HOD 2 years ago. So that's just all some more context for you, but the plan when we get to that point is to have staff reports for every action item every month that are distributed close to or around the time that the applications are shared with you all and made public. And like I said, last month, that will vary. If we have 8 action applications, we might cut the easy ones from us doing an analysis. So I welcome any thoughts. I'm not seeing any.
Well, I think we're all excited to see it.
Yeah.
Honestly, what you presented looks great.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
The new administration will really benefit.
Of which you will be a part.
I'm getting confused with what you're saying, Coach.
Yeah.
Try to modify term limits before you.
I'll work on that.
And actually, it takes a lot of effort to modify our bylaws. I think it took us a year to do it the last time we tried to do it. No,
Has to go to the board.
yeah. Any new or other business? Oh, so you're taking the John mantle. Congratulations.
No. I do want to report, next Thursday, 7:30 at the Lake End, they will do the Lake End Economical Visioning Study final report presentation. So I will be there, and once I get to the report link, I'll share with, so.
Our team regularly talks with the team that's doing that study. I think they're still at the phase where they're looking at, they don't have identified infill. They're still at like the use phase and then what those impacts might be. But we regularly talk to them about what things they might recommend would have to come to the ARB based on where they are in or adjacent to the HOD. But there is a lot of energy and attention there right now. And jumping off of that, because this came up earlier, the LARCA application that came through tonight, that is the first application since I've been in this role that was submitted by LARCA. I think they're trying to streamline the process. So anything that is on what is technically community property, in theory, LARCA will be ushering through the permitting process. That's my understanding. That's the way that they said it would happen.
That way we're no longer getting applicants that have not gone to the
Yes.
LARCA and then we have a meeting where they're absolutely at odds with each other.
In theory.
In theory.
That's what I was told they would do. The other thing that, and I spoke with the LARCA leadership, this was at least 6 months ago. So I don't know if that leadership has since changed, but they are talking about what they will do if RELAC is brought offline. So you may remember there was a very big threat earlier this year that RELAC would just stop running immediately. And then there was a stopgap put in place where it would run through this year. And I think that's kind of where they're still at. So the supervisor's office, as well as a lot of the HOAs in that area, are thinking about future solutions. I think there's a lot of problems with the system, not related to the way it was managed, but just like end of life capacity. There's an insane amount of mileage of underground pipes that are probably not well maintained. It is pretty insane that in the year 2024, the pond water is heating and cooling those units still. And it just shuts off for 2 weeks as they switch between heat and cooling. So one of the problems that we identified was that if they take the RELAC system offline, every unit that is in the Lake Anne HOD would have to get individual exterior HVAC or heat pumps. And so our recommendation to the LARCA board was for anything under their jurisdiction, they should develop some sort of master plan that could come through ARB review, talking about size, fittings, attachment methods, those sorts of things, and then we could more easily administratively approve permits as they're coming through if there's a sort of blanket approval of a master plan, instead of you all immediately reviewing 700 AC and mechanical upgrades. So I had at least 2 meetings about that. I have not seen anything, so I don't know where it's coming, but I think that was kind of hinted at tonight with, this is one commercial owner who needs to upgrade his unit for his current use, and he doesn't know anything about the residential tenants above him or owners above him. So there is that question about like 1,000 cuts, and the impact. But we kind of are just dealing with what we are. But our staff has had meetings with the supervisor's office. So the supervisor's office is very, very tuned in and aware to the potential complications that may arise if RELAC is actually taken offline after this year.
There's also not a lot of love there right now either, though, too. So it's an interesting environment.
I cannot speak to
The
that.
master plan will also make it easier for the residents,
Yeah.
That's
not just.
That's the way that we were trying to if there's an agreed upon and identified size of unit, type of unit, appearance, and
It really is just the intersecting different jurisdictions that all lay over there. And even just watching the Lake Anne revitalization study, there's so many layers of people who have authority or assumed authority there that it's just to get them all in a room to agree to do something it's a feat.
Daniel, I want to make sure I understand.
Mhm.
So, Lake Anne, the HVAC system that using the lake actually feed a lot of HOA around the Lake Anne, and LAGA is only one of the group.
So we've only had that conversation with LARCA because they're the only HOA fully in the HOD.
Yeah.
And my understanding is besides LACA, they are enough support from other HOA that will keep the machine running, and that's why the machine is continue running. The LACA is the only HOA not supporting that unit.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
That is my current understanding, but I was in what I would call an emergency all hands meeting about what would happen if they did not have air conditioning in 2 months. So
Talking about LACA.
well, it was all of Lake Anne. Because this was before.
Basically, RELAC failed.
Yeah.
None of the communities that were connected to it would have.
So in the spring, we were told they're going to stop operating it in a month.
That's not what is happening.
But this was before they made the decision.
That's right. Okay, so
We-
in that meeting.
Yeah, so we just had, the meeting with the supervisor's office and like all of the agencies were like, well, we can bring in portable air conditioners. And then our branch immediately had a follow-up meeting with the land use aide from the supervisor's office because we're like, if you're talking about immediately needing mechanical permits for up to 700 residences or commercial units. We have a series.
Essential electrical
Right.
upgrade as well, that's become a problem.
That's like
Right.
all of Heron House,
Right.
all of the J, every townhome that's in the HOD. That's a lot of potential impacts. So we were talking about it to try to heat it off. For now, everything is copacetic. I just wanted to reiterate that
Yeah, but it is.
behind the scenes, we're trying to problem solve before it is a problem. Because there have been issues with that application process.
Winter.
Yeah. So that, just because that kind of came up tonight, I just wanted to touch on that.
Okay, I'll be the Mr. This. I have one happy thing. So 2 weeks ago, I was interviewed for Fairfax Channel 16 regarding the Exceptional Design Awards. So me and the director for that program were interviewed, and we should be on the Fairfax 16 channel at some point. So we'll see how silly I look, but
Sure, that was great lighting.
I didn't. We had to keep stopping for sirens and helicopters.
Honestly, I didn't know we had a channel 16.
I didn't either.
Oh,
So,
they're serious about the lighting too, because I've done some.
excuse me.
They are fairly serious about the lighting too. I've done some stuff.
They almost wanted to make me get a haircut because my hair was lighting the way they didn't.
Did they
They didn't
like.
give you a stylist?
They're like, can you take your glasses off? And I'm like, I can. I won't be able to. Will I look at you correctly? Like, oh, okay, you have to see with those.
You have to make a list of demands.
Yeah.
You need craft
Yeah.
services.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had to stand up at Bolton Run Milford.
Pancake suppers.
Pancake
So next time, ask to sit down if it's possible. And maybe, I would,
It'll be the future chair's problem.
right, well, once I sat.
Because you know who chairs the Exceptional Design Review Awards? The chair. The ARB.
But you also can delegate.
Yeah, you can.
Delegate.
I'd be happy to do it again, actually. It was actually quite fun.
I thought you'd enjoy it.
I,
Jason would enjoy it too. You just have people who
I
want
liked
the
it.
meeting.
You'd like it too.
Yeah.
And it's cool.
it was a surprisingly positive experience.
If I do it, I'll get a haircut. That way,
Okay.
Just.
All right.
They're all good, all right?
So I think we're trying to make the meeting last as long as we wanted it to. But- Daniel, you got your hand up.
Yes, very, very quickly. I am not being dramatic. There's a very strong possibility of 2 meetings in December. We have FCPS that we know are coming. Planning division staff who are working on the Centerville area study and plan are ready to introduce some of the potential changes in the Centerville HOD to you all. We already have 2 applications for action. We have a workshop in the Lorton Penitentiary campus that's being ushered through by Elm Street, which is a pretty big project, so that will take some time. So depending on what else comes in, December can either be very, very slow, and that might be it, or people might try to jam in a lot of applications before the winter holidays.
Get your excuses planned now.
So it's on your radar.
Shopping.
Yeah. Mr. Zelman.
I was just gonna move to adjourn if we're done.
This motion to adjourn is always in order. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I would like something shiny.
What's that? Something-
Person.